Hello everyone, welcome to this channel. Today we are going to show you how to build two powerful AI agents. One is a web agent and another is a financial agent. Using the PhiData AI agent API, we will build these two agents. So let's go. Here are the tools we're gonna use. One is .env for loading environmental variables securely, FastAPI, our backend framework for exposing AI agents to API, PhiData modules, specifically the Groq module, DuckDuckGo yFinance tools for querying data, React.js for our frontend, and course middleware for enabling communication between the frontend and backend. So let's first create our folder. We call it my agent. From this, I will create first the servers. So new, then folders, server directory for handling server Python server files. So from this I will open, or simply I open from the root folder, terminal, and I will open Visual Studio Code. So let's open the terminal. Okay, just view terminal. Then from this I change it to the directory to server, and I install packages or modules from the Python. So first I check the version of my Python. Here we can check it. So the first step is to install packages. So let's navigate to the server folder. Let's create. Once we do that, we can install packages. FastAPI, Uvicorn for server, .env, PhiData, Grog for OpenAI, yFinance, and DuckDuckGo Search. So let's start. So the installation is finished. Now we can continue to the next step. Now let's create a simple test artificial intelligence agent, AI agent. Let's call it test.python. So just here import OS, then from Grog we install it, import Grog, make sure that you make it Grog. Then we should that os.environment variable. We will create this one, Groq API and key. We will find it from the Grog. Then we make sure that if not os get env the Groq API key, rise value error, Groq API key, otherwise we create a client, Grog, then we give API then os.environment.get the Groq API key. So we create the object, client object, then let's create sample chat. Let's call it chat completion client.chat.completions.create. So here there is message, that's an array of objects that have role as user and content to be searched. It is static content we used to find. So let's say, tell me factors about Ethiopia. Then there is also a model. So we use Lalama 3 8B model 8192. So how do you know this one? First we have to go to the PhiData. So follow me. PhiData. So you get here, and since I am logging already, you can just go to login. For example, let's open it on Cognito mode, PhiData.app. So just log in with your GitHub or Google. Then after login, you will find or redirected to your dashboard. Then go to so here we get the docs at the bottom. If you see at the bottom, you get docs. Then in the doc it gives us how to create or install the PhiData, then create a simple web agent. You can go through the documentations. So let me take you to the API keys. So here get the models. In the models you get, when you scroll, you get Groqs. So we can integrate Grog instead of OpenAI. Now here it gives you a link. Open it. Takes you Groq cloud. So it gives you some API keys. You can create the API key. You can give it a name and copy the API key, and then after copying you can paste it here. So let me do that. I will paste it there later. Just copy your API calls, your API secret key that you created. For example, let's create it, my API. So it creates one. Copy this. I will change it later. Then I go back to my API and I paste it. So make sure that here is a message, not message. Then we can print the result. Print chat completions dot traces of 0, the first array from this object, the message dot content. Now in order to run the API or our agent AI, just type Python, then test.py. So we get facts about Ethiopia. So here is textual fact. So simply in this way we can create a basic console-based AI agent by using platforms like OpenAI, Phi, and or Grog. Instead of OpenAI, we use Grog. I am using Grog because OpenAI is not free in countries, so it requires $5 payment. So I don't have a way to pay for such activities. So we don't have platforms in Ethiopia. So the next step is to create the web agents. So let's create another file. Let's call it multi-agent.python. So once we create the multi-agent.py for creating the web agents, let's have some modules. Let's import it from .env, import .env from OS, import OS, from FastAPI. Let's import FastAPI from FastAPI again .course middleware for connecting our servers with clients, from Phi.agent import agent from Phi .model .Grog import Grog. Then from tools, from Phi.tools DuckDuckGo, it is a search engine, import DuckDuckGo from Phi.tools. So once we do that, let's load the environmental variable. Then we create an object of FastAPI, then app.add middlewares. Make sure that you include course middleware. Then allow origins or low credentials, true, allow methods, and others allow headers. So once we create the middleware, let's create the Groq model. Groq model. So let's say Grog, and let's update the import. It should be capital here, and the agent also should be capital. Here we need IDE of the model. So let's go to our browser, then Grog Cloud, then under the documentation you see models. In the model, go to Grog, open the Grog Cloud. Once you open it, you get documentation section on the Grog, then documentation, models. You will see different models. So my model is the first one, model ID. I copy that and I paste the ID inside the quotation. Now we also need to give the API key. API key, let's say os.getEnv, then the API key name, Grog API key. Make sure that you create the API key, your API keys inside your environmental variable. So after that, we create the web agent agent. Then we create a name. So you will find samples in the PhiData dashboard. Then introduction section, getting started, you will get some introduction. You can create import models, tools, DuckDuckGo. Then we give the name. The model OpenAI chat, we use Grog. OpenAI chat is not open in Ethiopia because it requires payment, and we don't have platforms to pay with that. So I use OpenAI Groq Model, that's free. Tools, DuckDuckGo for searching. It is a web search, so we use DuckDuckGo. Always. Then instructions, we can give a lot of instructions to use sources and other kinds of instructions. Tools, show tools calls, so it shows us all the necessary the steps it takes to create. Then here they print it directly on the console, but we use APIs. So let's create it. Name webagent, then role, search the web for information. The model, we already create the model, that is Groq Model. Groq Model. Tools, this is DuckDuckGo. Few is other tools we can also add. Then we can give instructions, include sources, then markdown, site through. That is for the web agent. Then we create a finance agent, another agent for finance. We can copy here because most of them are similar. Just let's copy it and let's paste inside this. And we change the name to finance agent. The role, we also change the role. Get finance information, or let's say it's financial data or information. The model is DuckDuckGo and the tools are yFinance tools. We need stock price, for example. We give it true. It shows the stock price. Analyst recommendations, we set it true. If there is any recommendation, and company info, we set it true. So the tools contains, the yFinance tools contains all these informations. We can give instructions also here. We can use tables to show data. The others are similar. Let's add here some show tools, calls. What tools are used? It shows us all the tools. So let's copy this one also to this one. Now we finish creation of the agents. After that, let's create APIs. API at API.get. Let's call it the API endpoints web query. And let's define async. So not API, app, async, def, and web query. Let's call it a method name query that accepts query from user or React application. That is string. And let's response web agents dot run query return JSON objects. That is the response. Now let's create another endpoint app. Let's call it get finance agent. And let's create the async function. It accepts also query, that is string, and response finance agent dot run the query. We call the run method. Then we return the response. So we already finished creation of agents. Now the next step is to create or test this in APIs. So So in order to run, we use Python, we use m flag for module, Uvicorn is for server, then our app name is multi-agent, and our API name is app. So we use multi-agent colon the API client we created, app. Then it's for watch mode, we use reload. So the server is running on 127.0.0.1 8000 port. So in order to find this, let's go to our browser and let's call 127.8000. So it is working now. In order to get the Swagger API, you can say docs. Now here we get our response. So here is a query, you can try it out. We can check for example, tell me about Ethiopia. Then execute. We get the result. So there is some error. So let's put here forward slash, and for the finance also forward slash. The server is reloading. Now let's go back and let's run it again. Just let's reload it, try it out. As you see, it is a success result, and we get on the response object contents, we get our results. So that is how we use financial data web agent. Let's try the financial agent. Here, let's try it out. Tell me about stock price of Tesla. As you see, we get the stock price API response content 436.17. So we get that information. Now let's create the client side. So we go to just on the root folder. We create a folder, file client. Now go to our terminals again. We create another terminal. First, let's create CD to file client. Then let's create npx, create React app. Dot, and the file client folder, it creates a file, React file. So the installation is finished. Let's check here. It's already installed. It shows some dependency errors. It's okay. So let's clear and let's start it. And name start. So as you see, the video is already started, the file is started, but there is a dependency error. So let's just remove it We go to the API client, then sources. We delete the web vitals. We don't need this file. Then go to your index, remove web vitals, import. Go to your app.js, then remove all boilerplate, and let's say simply hello world. Then we don't need also the app.css. We remove it. Then here is we index.css. So let's go back and see the results. Since index.js also contains web vitals, so let's go it. Remove this method. Now the problem is gone. So the first step is to create components. In source folder, we create for another folder, components. Inside that, let's create agent component. .js, we can say it's JS or JSX. It's possible to have both extensions. So let's use React arrow function. That's it. Now let's create what we need. So the first step is just let's create the structure. Here's that we create 3 menus: the query for multi-agent orchestration, web query for web search, and finance query for financial query. Then let's create buttons for that. just what we do here is we create array of 3 strings, then we iterate through them, and we give it a class name of active. Otherwise, we give it an empty class name, and on click we set the active menu or change the active menu. That is what we do. Now let's create some states. Query, set query, so the active menu is just the menus here. Creates 3 queries, one for web query, one for finance query, and the other is for both queries, multi-agent orchestration. I will show you how to do that. So after doing that, just let's create the text areas. Here we have text area. So when any text is changed, we set the query with that text. Just let's add placeholder. Let's add a button. We will create this method. If it is loading, it shows loading. Otherwise, just submit query. Now for the response, let's create another div and a class name of response. So here we do two things. We create a button having submit button class name and a method handle query. We will create it. If the class is loading, it shows loading, otherwise submit queries. Then we create a container that is class name of response, and if it is loading, it shows fetching data, otherwise it respond or render the contents. So here we use chaining for displaying the content. If there is no content, it shows an empty result. So that is we perform here, and we finish the things here. My agent component is already finished. Now let's include this one, and let's create handle agent method handle query. So const handle query, there is an arrow function, set loading is true, set response, let's set it to empty, then try catch, const, we destructure the data from await Axios. We will install Axios, get, then the server name, we use backtick, then HTTP 127.0.0.1, then 8000 port number, then here we give active menu. So if the menu is here, web query, it searches for the web agent. If it is finance query, it searches for the finance agent. Otherwise, if it is query, it searches for the multi agents. So let's make this async, and let's add one terminal and install Axios. Redefine client npm I Axios. So the installation is finished. Now after making this, let's add some parameters. Param, we return the query. We send this query to the server having this active menu endpoints. After that, just let's set response the data dot response. That's it for the try part. And for error handling, let's console log it. So after finishing all the my agent components, let's go to the app.js. Instead of this hello world, let's replace this with my agent component. Now let's go to the browser. Here we see that some errors. We do not import some files, so let's go back to that. Let's import user state. Let's import Axios. So let's import it manually. Import Axios from Axios. Now there is a response on line 58, another error. Let's add E. Now we get this data. So let's add some CSS. I just copy and paste. So go to your index.css, then at the bottom, just copy this one. This one is for the agent container, maximum width of 600, margin 10 pixel for bottom and top. Then to auto center it, text align centers, and just you can go through the CSS. Now if we look our page, it looks like a good page. Now let's test. So the query, we do not work on the query, just let's web query and tell me about Ethiopia. Now let's submit the query. As you see, there is a response. So the response, as you see, it's not a good one. It is not fitting. So let's correct some of them. Now let's try the finance agent. So I give this query. As you see, the stock price is mentioned. Let's also try another query. It's not found, so just you can try with different queries. So it's working correctly. Now let's create the agent here, but there is no such agent free solution here. We are using Grog, but Grog is not working for multi-agent in my case. You can try it by changing to OpenAI. OpenAI needs some payments, $5 payment, so you can use that. So let me show you. Let's go to our multi-agent. Just before, after finance agent, let's create team agent. Agent team. The agent class. Then we give team. Then array of teams we created earlier. The first one is web agent. The other is finance agent. We make it in that way. Then instructions. We use those instructions, show tools. Tool calls, so it shows us every step what it follows. Markdown. So after performing that, let's create another API endpoint for query. Add up, logate, query. Then let's create a sync function. Agent team. Dot run, then the query. After that, return JSON formats. Just here is the thing, but as I told you, Grog is not working for query. I will show you. Here is our server, and let's try it. Make sure that it is active. The query is active. Then let's search for something. Today stock market data. So if you go back, it shows 404, which is not found. Let's see it, the problem. Query. Let's make it slash. Then let's submit it again. It's fetching. But there is no response. Why? If you go here, the error, you see the model GPT-4o. We do not use GPT-4o or OpenAI models because it requires some payment for requesting APIs. We are using Grog, but Grog is not working. And somehow the internals of the OpenAI or this agent team use OpenAI. So I cannot access that, but you can change it by simply go to the Grog or the PhiData documentation. Instead of Grog, you can use OpenAI chat. Just replace this one. The model, instead of Grog, use OpenAI. In that way, it works correctly. The others are simply working. So let's change this to financial query and let's send it. The problem for finance queries in the server multi-agent, as you see, we call it or we name it as finance agent, not agent. Let's rename it to query. Now it's restarting. If you go back and make active the financial query and submit, so we get the stock price. Now today's stock market data. So we get the market data in tables. So symbols, current price, company info, and the analyst recommendation. It is a markdown. So we can install the markdown to make it more beautiful. So let's make that. So let's install React Markdown, npm I React Markdown. It improves the UI interface of the response. It's finished installing it. Now let's import the React Markdown. React Markdown. So import React Markdown from React Markdown package. Once we do that, we go to the response place. Here, instead of pre, we use React Markdown. We change both. Then we go to index.css. In the CSS part, find the response, and for overflow let's add auto to add some scroll bars for response only. After making that, let's go back to the browser and let's add some query here. Tell me today's stock price for Tesla. So let's submit it. As you see, the stock price is mentioned. To see the difference, let's go to the web query. Let's remove it. How to write Python hello world script. Using for loops. Just as you see, all the steps are mentioned, and that's beautiful output. But if you remove the markdown here in the my components and replace this markdown with pre, we will see another result. As you see, the code is not displayed correctly. So that's all about how to create web agents and financial agents, as well as agent orchestration by using PhiData APIs. Thank you.